Alright, recording for script RMIT for Vast Group. Good luck with your presentation. And let's start. Oh shit, wrong side. How to Train a Dragon. Has anyone ever seen a cartoon called How to Train Your Dragon? Yeah, it is a wonderful movie, and I really love it. You know what? I want a dragon too. Ha! Do you want to have your own dragon in your own house? Where can you find a dragon these days? In real life, nowhere. That's why I thought of training a cockroach instead. Oh man, that's a good idea, but why does it have to be a cockroach? Why not a dog or a cat? Well, basically, the cockroach is one of the very few creatures that has survived many generations of creatures. You know what? From the time that meteors killed the dinosaurs up to the first nuclear bomb. Did you know that it can even survive up to a month even with its head cut off? Well, due to its age, its biological system is quite simple to analyze and play with, unlike a cat or dog, which exhibits more complex systems. So that means cockroach organism is a good way to start the research into any technology, right? Yes. Besides, many people would make a big deal if a cat or dog were to die than, if a cockroach was killed or as it is a pest. So, we do have less pressure to get things right the first time. After all, we must make sacrifices in order to gain knowledge in the name of science. Okay, I see. So, how could you control a cockroach? Well, my friend, it is 2014. We're not in the dark ages anymore. Today, we have what it takes to make this possible, and this technology is called Robo-Roach. What? What is that? Does it come from RoboCop the movie? Haha, no silly. Robo-Roach is a new innovation. That's right, a real-life insect cyborg, part cockroach and part machine. You can control it by using a smartphone, and can even navigate the insects around your home. Want to scare your sister? Oh, yes please. It's amazing. Who invented it? Well, the co-founders of Backyard Brains, Tim and Greg, who graduated from the University of Michigan, are the masterminds behind this. Oh, that's nice. Their parents must be very proud. So, how does it work? Well, the computer is attached on the back of the cockroach. A series of very thin wires are used to connect the commanding ports directly to the insect's antennas, which acts as the cockroach's sensors. Well, by sending pulses to fake the simulation, the user is given the freedom to send any commands he wishes to the insect to obey, tricking the brain of the cockroach to react the way where the user wishes. Bluetooth communication is used to connect the smartphone to the receiver, just like if you wanted to play music with the latest Bose speakers that I bought from England. Well, cockroaches are very different from us, I suppose. They use their antennas to navigate the world using touch and smell. Unlike us, we need up to 5 sense organs just to live, right? Correct. And inside each antenna is a nerve, and this nerve carries messages to the brain just like we do. Okay, so these messages are called spike bands, which is just like words being sent to our ears from a source. They pass information. For example, if they're coming close to touch a wall or obstacle, the brain will make the choice based on these signals to avoid the collision and move towards a different direction. By just lightly stimulating these nerves, we can actually trick the cockroach into thinking it is about to touch a wall, so we can make it turn when we send a signal. That's really smart of the inventors, is that right? But this technology was not invented overnight. No. The early prototypes were just too heavy. We also had no way to fine-tune the controls, so the cockroaches, they didn't quite do what we wanted them to do. For example, it was difficult to even tell the insect to simply make a 90-degree turn. You know what happened instead? Instead, the signal was so strong it made a 180-degree turn. What was so sad was that one of the specimens also went crazy and started doing spirals like it was on the dance floor of Ministry of Sound. Sadly, it did not make it. as its brain was like fried like parango by the signals being too strong. I really hope it rests in peace. Well, it's got to get ugly before it gets pretty. That's what my physics teacher always used to tell me. Finally, we can easily use our smartphones as a remote control device and send signals via Bluetooth. The smartphone is smart enough to adjust the duration, frequency, and pulse width, which means you don't need a separate remote control for this like you would for an RC plane or car. The technology today is so bloody advanced that this bee is so much bothering me in my speech. It's so advanced controlling the robo-roach it can't be made any easier. Just slide your finger across the screen and the roach will move in the direction almost with no delay. Does it hurt the cockroach? Well, as far as we know, it doesn't. When you send a command from your mobile phone, the computer on the insect sends pulses to the antenna, which stimulates the neurons directly and encourages the cockroach to do what you want. We aren't tasing the roach like a cop does to a robber. Instead, we're just tricking the sensors with man-made signals, instead of natural ones. So, what's the result? Well, the cockroach follows your every command. And what if you don't want it to control it anymore? You can remove the robo-roach backpack and place the poor slave insect back to the homeland colony. They are now free to eat and make love and do whatever cockroaches like to do. Beautiful. I sure hope the roaches don't experience any after effects. Now let's explore another side to the story. This year, Osaka University and Tokyo University of Agriculture and Technology, or TUAT, created prototypes of the embedded system on top of cockroaches to extract energy from the sugar. Energy, from inside the insect's body. Now, why would we want to do this? Well, believe it or not, we can generate power up to 50.2 microwatts when inserted into a cockroach. That might not be enough to even light a small bulb, but it sure can be used in microcircuits, which only require a tiny amount of power to operate. Well, these Japanese researchers call it fuel cell that can be mounted on any insect and generate power from sugar found in the insect's body, or the blood lymph. The fuel cell consists of electrodes, a tank for the body fluid to store it, and a pipe to be inserted directly into the insect. Then some chemical magic occurs. There's already a prototype, actually, which has been unveiled at the IEEE MMS conference this year. Is that the academic conference that took place on January 26th to 30th in San Francisco, United States of America? Yes, that's right. The final goal, which may be many years away, is to combine the fuel cell with sensors and radio to create wireless sensor networks, joining many cyborg insects, real insects that can be controlled, in order to avoid the need to deploy multiple wireless sensor networks. A research paper published in 2011 and entitled Self-Circulation Systems of Insect Hemolymph for Insect Mountable Biofuel Cell provides the technical details if anybody is interested to read. So, why are we doing this? Why are we creating a remote control cockroach? Well, it's a starting point, typically to understand how does electronics and biology work together. Its success can be implied in many alternative ways, like to rescue, environmental monitoring, working in the radiation environment, etc. In the future, we can start seeing insect gladiators going to war instead of guns and bombs one day. Ha ha ha. Imagine a swarm of bees invade your enemy. That's gonna get ugly. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Take it easy there, girl. I think you're playing too many video games. But honestly, what can we learn from Robo-Roach? Well, neutral control of behavior. First and foremost, you will see in real time how the brain responds to sensory stimuli. Secondly, learning and memory. After a few minutes, the cockroach will stop responding to the Robo-Roach microstimulation. Why? The brain learns and adapts. This is what the brain is designed to do. You can measure the time to adaptation for rare stimulation frequencies. Living things won't be dumb forever. Well, there are exceptions. Hey, I might not be perfect, but I am limited edition. Next, adaptation and habituation. We are interested to observe what happens after placing the cockroach back into its territorium. How long does it take for him to respond again? Does he adapt to the stimuli more quickly? Next, stimuli selection. What range of frequencies works for causing neurons to fire? With this tool, you will be able to select a range of stimulation to see what works best for your prep. Is this the same that is used by medical doctors stimulating human neurons? Well, we will find out one day. Effect of randomness. With the addition of new random mode to our stimulus patterns, you can experiment with non-periodic stimulations. While we as humans can adapt easily to periodic noise, for example, the hum of a refrigerator can be ignored. So perhaps the reason for adaptation is our stimulus is periodic. Now you can select random mode and see if Roborock, adapts as quickly or doesn't adapt at all. This is the same technology that is used to cure Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's? What's that? Well, it is a type of chronic and progressive movement disorder, meaning symptoms continue and worsen over the period of time. The cause is obviously still unknown, and although there is presently no cure, there are treatment options such as medication and surgery to manage the symptoms. Parkinson's involves the malfunction and death of viral nerve cells in the brain called neurons. Parkinson's primarily affects neurons in the area of the brain called the substantia nigra. Some of these dying neurons produce dopamine, a chemical that sends messages to the part of the brain which controls movement and coordination, as well as pleasure, which is why drugs are so awesome. As Parkinson progresses, the amount of dopamine produced in the brain decreases, leaving a person unable to control movement normally. So sad. That does not sound pretty. I sure do not want to get old. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We would like to conclude by saying that the future looks more bright and lazier than ever. With the latest iPad Air out, it will be not long before we get new toys to play with. But some of us are optimistic. I certainly feel that we shouldn't play with nature too much, as it might, bite us back one day, like in the movie iRobot. There are always two ways to a situation can turn, for the best or for the very worst. Well, thank you for your attention.